For example, like when I said black culture promotes degeneracy, that's something that everybody knows. Like, you listen to any rap music, like Durk. I listen to Lil Durk all the time. He's rapping about murder all the time. Like literally all the time. I mean, he's Muslim, and I hope, alhamdulillah, he becomes a better Muslim, but he's rapping about murder constantly. That he knows that will sell more music. He knows that rap beef and like, I'm going to kill you, you're going to kill me. Bro, you're 29 with kids, still talking about like killing other people, and you're going to risk your life over music. Like everything that hip hop promotes, besides Ye and besides a few like, you know, Christian rap or stuff like that, it's all just drugs, murder, bitches. And we all know that. When they talk about we need to protect black culture, this is the number one. This is how you prove that black culture in America promotes degeneracy. Because when a black person becomes more affluent, when they put on a suit, when they get a good job, when they speak correctly, you're speaking white. Yo, why are you talking like a white boy? I'm just speaking English properly. When they talk about keeping black culture black in those affluent areas, like as a lawyer, as a doctor, they mean they want a doctor who's also sagging. They want a doctor who's still banging and throwing up signs.
I mean, I agree that there's a lot of stuff within hip hop culture that is kind of negative, for sure.
All of it.
All of it. Like, you really put me on the spot here to like think about it objectively.
What do they promote that's positive? Besides, like in some of their interviews, you listen to like Polo G, for example. He'll go in an interview. I'm like, yeah, man, I like what you're talking about. Like you're uplifting people, but you listen to the music and I'm like, oh, this is all murder.
Yeah, well, if you watch like a Lil Durk interview, you get a very different side of him. Whereas he's going to magnify the stuff that is, you know, violent or controversial in the music because he knows that will work in the music.
It will sell.
And it feels like the only stuff that he holds back on is the stuff that he thinks will literally like get him in trouble in a courtroom.
But everything else goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And when you actually look at the way he lives his life, I mean, obviously he's not killing anyone. He's not, you know, he's in a relationship. It doesn't seem like he's cheating on her or anything. Right. He's talking about religion and stuff. He doesn't bring the religious stuff up in the music, like on the new album much.
Because you can't talk about Islam in music because it's haram to even listen to music.
I don't know if that's really like occurred to him yet.
No, he must know.
Acknowledged that
he must know. I mean, this is common.
I think that probably a lot of people who consider themselves Muslims just kind of, that's a little bit extreme to them.
That's the correct one. I just spent a couple days in San Diego giving dawah, which means like talking to people about Islam. And like when we leave the park or when we go from the mosque back and forth in prayer, like there's just no music. You just listen to that. And you realize how much better that is for your mental, because it does switch your brain off. Like when you get in that routine, you get in your car and you're playing, yeah, GD, gang, bang, bang. You're just like nodding your head. And then you get into that state. You become like what you're around. You know, you're the sum of the 5 people that you're around the most, right? If you listen to music about murder, then your brain is starting to program to become used to this stuff. And then you're like, yeah, murder's cool. Gang, bang. And then you're like, you get a gun. And then you start sagging a little more, and then you start to emulate that. So when you don't listen to that, or like if you just listen to the Quran, for example, you're going to feel better. Your spirit's going to be more protected.
But I grew up listening to extremely violent, extremely misogynistic hip hop. And I would be lying if I said it didn't affect me in ways that probably I wouldn't want for my kid. But at the same time, I mean, it's popular because it's providing like a gritty, very real perspective on the life that they grew up in. And I think that's what people are going to Lil Durk for, right? They want to see.
They want that raw feeling. But that's the hypocrisy. Is these people are rich. They don't kill anybody. And that's all they know how to rap about. They don't really ever try to elevate it.
I've spent a lot of time in my life listening to King Von and all these other Chicago rappers, but I have no interest in like watching an action movie because it just feels fake. It feels stupid.
You want that real murder.
I mean, I would be lying if I denied it.
You want that authentic murder.
If I just want to hear, listening to
I get what you're saying.
Well, think about SoundCloud rap. SoundCloud rap was like primarily dudes who had never really done anything violent and definitely weren't like from the streets or in gangs or whatever, rapping, saying that they're going to pull up and shoot you or whatever. And then that really like diminished and made way for like the situation we're in now, where a huge percentage of the most popular hip hop is dudes who really, really are from that environment. I just interviewed a dude who killed 2 people and he got off on both of them for self-defense.
What does he have to bring to the table?
I mean, his music is really good.
It is.
But you could imagine that probably the narrative or the fact, like what's going to make people click on his interview? Probably the fact that at some point there's going to be a title that says something about beating 2 bodies.
Yeah, murderer on my podcast. Like, what? And then people,
But I mean, people want to hear real shit, right?
There's real shit, and then there's just people want to be excited by degeneracy. People live vicariously through that. It's the same thing like when a girl becomes addicted to a murder documentary, it's because they like to feel that excitement of like putting themselves in that situation. That's not something, just because it's real doesn't mean it's good. Just because it's out there doesn't mean that it needs to be something that you put into your mind and put into your soul. Like, yes, it exists, but like, what new information did you learn? Okay, there's people that kill people.
You are kind of like making me realize that I should probably dwell on why I enjoy extremely gangster hip hop a little bit more, because just accepting that because it sounds good doesn't seem like a good enough reason to continue to listen to it for the rest of my life. I listen to rap all the time where I'm just like, oh, how would I ever explain that lyric to my kid?
There's no explanation.
Besides, well, there is an explanation. It's just deeply depressing and kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean, I realized that listening to Playboi Carti. I like this music too. It sounds good, but I listened to a whole lot of Red, and that's like a demonic album, like rapping about murder all the time. I was listening to it, and then afterwards, you're just in a weird headspace. Next time you listen to like violent murder music, just like analyze where your head is at afterwards. Is it like in a like, you know what? I'm going to go feed some kids. I'm going to go save a church.
The Carti stuff seems worse to me than King Von, because it's like, it's just theatrical. It's just murder lyrics for the sake of sounding cool.
Yep.
Which is like almost worse to me than King Von rapping about some murder that he actually did. I don't know if I could say worse, but it's definitely different.
Which is lame in a way. If you can only be cool by using murder, then that's lame. But if you can be cool, the highest level of art would be inspiration, would be trying to uplift. If you can be cool spreading a positive message, that's way better than anything that they promote, these other rappers.
But do you feel like, even as a commentator or a public intellectual,
am I? I'm just a streamer.
I was just chuckled as I said it. Yeah, a streamer, whatever you want to call it. Do you feel like you end up kind of falling victim to some of the same stuff?
100%.
Because you roasting this trans person, I mean, it's not terribly kind, right? But it definitely probably got you more fans and followers than...
I don't think I said anything that was rude. I just said, you're not a dude. I mean, you're not a girl.
Well, he brought on that other kid who was kind of...
Yeah, that wasn't me.
They were roasting.
That wasn't me. And afterwards, yeah.
They patched it up?
What do you mean they patched it up?
Did they?
Oh, I don't know if they did, but afterwards I'm like, yeah, this is too far. That was like, at a certain point it could become bullying.
Right. And that's why that stream was probably age restricted when I watched it on YouTube the other day.
It was.
Not that that's Aiden's biggest problem or anything.
No.
You think Aiden's like career is fucked up because he's just gone too close to the sun in terms of the offensive content?
Here's the thing. When he was just having rappers on stream and just doing degenerate stuff, like people were smoking weed and rappers were talking about gangbang and murder, nobody canceled him. When he says there's two genders, which everybody knows is true, when he has Andrew Tate on, which everybody knows he's innocent, then people are like, oh, you're once he starts getting to the truth and trying to figure things out, it's like, what's going on? When he asks a question about like, wait, is this good? That's when he's a brand risk.
Right.
But when he's just being a degenerate, he has porn stars on and the rappers are there like talking about no one cares. When he's being gay, nobody cancels him. When he's there like, oh, I'm sucking dick. Why is that not a brand risk? But it's a brand risk when he's doing push-ups.
Yeah, you are making a pretty good point with some of that. But think about it, all the rappers he was having on and stuff, it's like he's not getting like the gangster side of them or the violent side of them. They're just hanging out on some regular ass shit, and that's why people were so drawn to it. Is because
they see a human side of a murderer.
Yeah, he's hanging out. Well, probably a very small percentage of rappers are actual murderers. But if he's sitting there with a Polo G or whoever, it's like he's getting like a very like cool, chill, humble version of them. If anything, that's something I realized through Aiden and some of these other guys, Gideon, whatever, is that like these are dudes who they're not like hip hop influencers. They're just concerned with entertainment. And that audience is 10 or 20 or 50 times bigger than the audience for people who are like really, really focused on one specific style of music.
Yeah, so it works really well together. But when you start becoming like, when you're not just a goofy guy like Aiden was a couple of years ago, and then you're like asking questions and pissing people off because you're telling the truth, then that entertainment dude can't associate with you because it blows the whole spot up. Then they start asking questions like, wait, what are you really talking about in your music?
Right.
Are you actually promoting anything good? What's going on here? And they're kind of stuck. They're like, I just want to smoke weed and promote my album.
But you got to be more careful on stream, because I saw you and Zerka hollering at those girls and then you realize they're underage.
Oh, come on. They're like, I didn't holler at them. I just had, how old are you? And they're like,
you're like, oh, I think you're perfect for me. And you're perfect for Zerka. And then they're like, we are about to be 15. And
no,
like,
then I asked Adam, I said, how old are you guys? And they said, we're 14. I'm like, okay, bye. Left.
Right.
But when it's clipped up on a stream, like, and also, are we really hollering at him or are we just on Omegle?
Right.
You know, farming content.
Like,
am
how
I
much
like,
can you really holler? Yeah.
yeah, am I like, yeah, let's actually go on a date with Omegle girl? No, it's just I'm just here on Omegle clicking. Whoa, double date? Oh, you're 14. Whoa.
No, I had to learn that lesson because doing the man on the street type stuff. Not only do you have to ID them if you're going to say anything even remotely sexual to them, but you also have to, like, even if they are of age, if they don't look, like if they look kind of young, then you also don't want to use that either.
What were you talking about on Man in the Street interviews where you had to ID them?
We were doing some plug talk, man on the street type stuff. Which okay, so we did it at the porn convention, and obviously everything's on the up and up because you're not going to be able to get in there if you're underage. But then we did it in public one time, and like we uploaded one of them, and we ID'd the people before we asked them like what kind of porn they watched or whatever, and they were of age, but then like they kind of looked young. So like immediately the comment section just starts filling up with people like, this is weird, and I'm like, oh okay, I gotta